Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've brought you an AI course, and this particular course is going to cover many different things. And this is specially designed for those who are just getting started with AI. So, this is not going to cover Python basics or API basics or any computer science basics, but I'm going to cover everything from scratch related to AI. So in this entire course, I've split it into multiple different parts. You can see here, I'm going to cover each one of these in separate videos. This particular Notion page will also be linked in the description. So you can go and refer to all the notes related to this particular course. So I've divided this into three different parts right now. The first one being AI basics. The second is RAG and agentic AI. In AI basics, I'll teach you what exactly is Azure OpenAI, what is OpenAI, what exactly is an LLM, how does it work, how to use it with Python, and what are the different things that you can do with it. I'll try to cover as many things as possible in terms of using an LLM. Second is RAG, where we cover what exactly is a RAG, how to build a RAG, what are the different problems that you'll face while building a RAG, how can you address them, what exactly is token optimization. You'll cover all of these different things. And finally, we will also be learning what exactly is agentic AI. What are agents? How are they built? How are they different from AI or normal LLMs? How are they different? And what are its capabilities? How can you create multiple agents? How can you connect all of them together? We are going to explore all these different things in this particular course. So before we get started with any of these, first I need to make sure that two things are very much clear from my side, which is the definition of AI. Let's go black. Okay. So AI is a very common word nowadays, and it's very loosely used. So we have AI powered washing machine, AI powered iron box. We have many different things in AI. But according to me, there are two things which fall under AI. One is large language models, and the other is diffusion models. So if I have to divide AI into two parts, this is how I would do it. LLMs and diffusion models. LLMs is text completion. As simple as that. There's nothing more to LLM than text completions. Diffusion models, on the other hand, they focus on image generation. Image generation. So diffusion models are used for image generation. LLMs are used for text completion. Yeah, yeah. In this particular course, we are not going to cover the right hand side. We're going to cover everything on the left hand side, which is LLM part, the text completion. So let's get rid of this. Now, what exactly is an LLM? Uh, there are many different LLM models out there from OpenAI, from Google, and which is Gemini, or I'll just put GPT. Anthropic has Claude, and X has Grok. Mistral has, well, Mistral. Microsoft has their Pi models. So there are many different large language models out there. The one that we are going to focus on in this particular course is OpenAI. To be specific, Azure OpenAI. Okay, so first let's try to understand how can we use large language model. They require a lot of GPU power. You cannot just run LLM on your old laptops. You need a really powerful machine. You need a proper GPU machine to run a large language model. And because these GPUs are very expensive, companies will usually go for APIs, which means somebody else's computer has this LLM model, and this computer has been configured properly with a very powerful GPU. And what we are doing is we are doing API calling. What is an API calling? Let's suppose you're the user. You will say hi, and you will send this as a request to this particular API. So OpenAI API. That's a mouthful. Okay, so you will send this as your request to OpenAI API. They have their own GPUs, they have their LLM model, and they will send you a response. So this is my request, this is my response. This is API calling. Why are we doing this? Because we cannot afford a GPU machine, but we can definitely afford API calling because these API callings are very, very, very cheap. They are even more cheap if you're using it from Azure. Uh, so throughout this course, I'm going to use Azure OpenAI API. And to do this request and response part, it's basically API calling, right? So API calling LLM, this can be handled in many different ways. I can use Postman, the most basic one. I can also use requests library in Python. This is one more way. Or the most easiest and so by far the most recommended way is OpenAI Python library. So these are the three different ways in which I can use this API. Uh, for now, I'm going to stick with OpenAI. There's also one more library that you can use, which is LangChain. I absolutely hate LangChain. I'll tell you why. So these are all the five different ways, sorry, four different ways in which you can use any API calling. The reason why I hate LangChain is because LangChain is nothing but wrapper around OpenAI. So let's assume OpenAI library has this one function, second function, third function, F1, F2, F3. Three different functions have been created by OpenAI library, and I can use these three directly. But what LangChain does is they'll take the same functions, they'll append a few more things, they'll make some changes here. Let's take L1. They'll make some changes to this function. Instead of writing it like this, I'll draw L1. So let's assume that these are some of the changes that they have done to the F1 function. They've made some changes to the F3 function as well. Now this is what LangChain is giving me. So if I look at it on the paper, it looks very nice because I'm getting everything from F1, F2, F3. Whatever OpenAI is giving me, I'm getting all of them. At the same time, I'm also getting additional things, L1 and L3, which is good. But the problem occurs when you want to make any changes or when they make any changes. Let's say if you want to if you want to write a function which will behave in a particular way, you cannot make any changes to this L1 function, which means the output of F1, let's assume that F1 output is being sent to L1. Now you want to make some changes to the L1 function. You cannot do that. There's literally no way for us to do that, which means we have to write our custom function separately. C1, we have to use the F1 from OpenAI library. I'll write my custom function, and now this will work as expected. But I'm not using LangChain for this. I'm using OpenAI library again. Let's assume the second situation where they made some changes. LangChain decided to make some changes to this particular function. Now, whatever code I have written already, I need to make changes to that code so that it works properly with these changes. And let's assume they have decided to delete this L3 completely altogether. Now I need to make changes to my code again to make sure that whatever has been deprecated will not affect my code. So because LangChain is a very new library and it is open source and many people are trying to build it from scratch, I have seen many instances where I have to make n number of changes to my code just because LangChain decided to make some changes. So to avoid all those issues, it's better to ignore LangChain altogether and go directly with OpenAI library. Because if you're using OpenAI library directly, you don't have to worry about deprecation issues and all. At the same time, you will not be facing any latency. So because there are no wrappers around these functions, the latency is going to be very less. It's going to be just pure API calling. So these are all the different things that you have to know whenever you're going to work with API. So let's go ahead and deploy this API and let's get the necessary credentials for using these APIs. So as I told you, I'm going to use Azure for this. So to whenever we are working with Azure OpenAI API, there are few things that you have to get. One is your API key. Next is your API endpoint, API version, API model. So you have to get these four different things to use any Azure OpenAI API. So from where can I get all these? You can get them directly from the Azure portal. So let me take you to portal.azure.com. I'll log in with my personal email ID. Setting up an Azure subscription is totally free. I would highly recommend you to do that. You will be paying only for the resources that you're going to use. Trust me, there are many resources on Azure which you can use totally for free. You don't have to pay any amount for them. If I go into my subscriptions, I've got only one subscription and the name of it is Pay As You Go. You can see the bill here, which is 0.14 rupees. So this is what I got the bill in the uh, previous months. So in June, I got 476 rupees. In July, I got 892. But in August, I didn't get anything. Sorry, May, I got 472. June, I got 892. And in June, sorry, July, I didn't use anything, so I didn't get any bill. And in August, so far, it's been nothing. So literally 0.14 rupees. And based on my current usage, it is giving me a forecast of just 2 rupees, 1.8 rupees. That's all. So if you're using a lot of different services like I did, then you'll be paying a lot of amount. I use many different resources actually. You can see I use all of these different ones. That's why I'll be paying a lot of money. But if you're not using any of them, then you don't have to worry about cost part. It will be very cheap, somewhere about 60 or 70 rupees on average, I would say. Okay, so let's assume that you are inside of Azure portal. Then you can search for Azure OpenAI. Go into this one. You can create it from here. I've already created a few different AI foundries. You can also go to ai.azure.com, which will take you to the same link. So these are all the different foundries that I've created. In the last one, this is where I have my GPT 4.1 model. I'll click on this button, go to AI Foundry. You can see it will take me to the same link again, ai.azure.com. It's the same place. Yeah, you can see it's the same thing. Now, if I scroll to the bottom, you can see models plus endpoints. GPT 4.1, we have the model here. This is something that I have deployed in the past, and this is what I've been using for all of my projects. Let's see how we can deploy new model. I can click on this deploy model, select this. These are all the different models that are available. For some of them, I don't have enough quota. So if I have to show for, uh, let's go with O1. When I try to deploy this, it will say you don't have enough quota, insufficient quota. So I cannot use GPT, I cannot deploy GPT O1 because I'm using a free subscription. Let's go ahead and deploy GPT 4.1, or I can go with 4.1. I can use 4.1 mini also. You see, I don't get that insufficient quota error here. I can click on deploy. We'll come back to the screen later because if you see, there are a few different options here that you can configure. But in the later parts of the course, I'll explain you all those different settings. You can also edit it and you can change those parameters anytime. So we deployed GPT 4.1 mini. So as I told you, you need four different things. Copy it directly. If you click on this copy icon, you can copy the API key. You can get your API version from here, endpoint from here, and your model name from here. So let's copy all of them. I'll put them here. This is my model name. This is my endpoint. This is my version number. I'm not going to paste my key here, but it will be gibberish like this. Or yeah, let's assume that this is my key. So these are the four different things that you will need whenever you're working with Azure OpenAI. So that's all for the very first video. In the next video, we are going to use these four parameters and we are going to use OpenAI library in Python to use this particular API. Thank you.